Hi again. I wanted to show you how to think about these legs of the American table. I wanted to use one of our earliest legs. And I think the earliest leg that you and I talked about in class was capitalism. And that is when Jamestown was founded in 1607. Jamestown, we know, was an economic profit-making enterprise. When the Dutch came to New Amsterdam, they came to make money, trading furs and then eventually slaves and well, anything else that they could, make a buck on. So capitalism has always been really, I think, in America's DNA, and it still is today. If we took that idea of capitalism and looked at the 1600s and how it got its beginnings, we could build on that, and we could safely say that the 1700s was also a time when first the English colonists and then eventually Americans began building an economy. They began to become prosperous in the South. Southern plantation owners, of course, became prosperous on owning slaves, and how many slaves you owned pretty much dictated how prosperous and rich you were. Two things drove American society in the South, certainly in the 16 and 17 and early 1800s, and that was how much property did you own and how many slaves did you own. In the North, it would be how much property do you own, how many businesses do you own. Okay, so certainly capitalism is a thread that runs all the way through us, historically, our society. If you looked at the early 1800s, again using capitalism as one of the legs of the American table, we can look at Eli Whitney's invention of the cotton gin, revolutionary technology, because that cotton gin could turn out 1,000 pounds of cotton a day. And if you recall, I said that cotton had to be picked. So of course you're still going to need slaves. And if you want to make more profits, because you were able to purchase, let's say, a cotton gin, well then you're going to purchase more property, you're going to plant more cotton, and you're going to need more slaves to pick that cotton. So again, you're looking at that capitalist drive for profits that began in the early 1600s, now fueling the King Cotton economy of this country, both North and South, for the first 60 years of our life in the 1800s. Southerners who owned property and slaves got rich, as did Northerners who transported those slaves, particularly after they were, it was illegal to import them in 1807. Once Congress passed that law, legally people could not only go to jail but also be fined if they were caught bringing slaves in. So many of those slaves, of course, were taken to Boston, New York, Newport, Rhode Island, and from there then funneled down into the South. Okay, so the country, whether it was North or South, it didn't really matter. It was certainly getting rich off of this plantation-based slave economy. Right? You're seeing an image here. It says the Claremont, Robert Fulton steamboat. And if you want to look at anything that in the early 1800s, this was 1807, that Robert Fulton, who was a New Yorker, came up with this idea of using steam to power these boats. And basically, you had a big paddle wheel on the back of the boats or on the side of these boats, and it was powered by steam. And I have this image here, and I liked it so much because it's done, I think, by a sixth grade class. And it says here, the Claremont, Robert Fulton steamboat, was also used to transport cargo. Most steamboats make money. Okay, there you go. Someone else said, another sixth grader said, powered by steam propelled by the paddle wheel. And then someone else said here, carried people in the Hudson River from New York City to Albany, which was, let's see, if you drove New York City to Albany, which I've done, I would say it's a good 5-hour drive. But you're going up the Hudson River, and then it says here, served nice meals. So there you go. What you basically are seeing is not just a revolution in technology with the cotton gin, but you're seeing a revolution in transportation. Because in all seriousness, folks, these steamboats became permanent fixtures on almost any river you could find, particularly in the Northeast and up near the Great Lakes. You're not going to see many steamboats in the South, but you will see them on the Mississippi, and steamboats, and of course they were only for luxurious. They were quite luxurious for those who had the money to buy passage. During the 1820s and 30s, this whole idea of traveling by steamboat really becomes a big thing in this country. So again, you can see how capitalism has kind of brought us along throughout the first 2.5 centuries of our being in North America.